Have you ever had anybody say to you, "Do you know who I am?" And when that's said to me, it always makes me laugh, because I think they are not even who they think they are. What I'm looking at is a version of their ego's identity. So they want me to say, "Oh yes, you're a very important person. You're a manager of some kind and a leader." And of course, when I don't, it doesn't go down well. But it always makes me laugh, because when people see themselves as the job that they do, what that tells me is that they don't have a really good sense of their self-identity. Lots of people contact me or will say in class when I'm teaching the personal development seminars that they don't know who they are, and they genuinely have gotten to midlife and they feel a bit lost and they've lost direction, and they'll look to the external world for recognition, or they'll try and buy things to compensate a void that has opened up for them. So I've made this video just to address that, because it is a big question, who am I? But it's actually not that difficult to find out who you are, and it's also really important for you to understand why you need to find out who you are, because you're actually programming your subconscious mind. Now, there's the first clue of why you don't know who you are. It's because you've gotten through life so far and you've really designed your identity or formed your identity on the opinions of other people. So this starts really young in childhood, and our parents will feed back and we take their word as read. Well, we shouldn't, because there's lots of parents that say remarks that are off the cuff, they forget about it. But the children don't. They internalise these comments, usually the ones where they feel sort of rubbish about themselves. They last for life, and yet the parents can forget that they've said them at all. So you might grow up with a self-identity that you're sort of worthless, that you're rubbish. Well, unfortunately, neurologically, this has all programmed your unconscious, your subconscious part of your mind. And that not only determines who you think you are, but that determines how you're going to act in life. More than that, it's going to determine what you actually get out of your life. And that's why I've made you this little video. I wrote a book called Decluttering the Mind many years ago, and in it I said that the internal world, I can see your internal world very easily if I come to your home, because I just need to look at your house and the way you live in your house, because that's showing me, it's a direct window for me to look into the inside of your mind. So if your house is really cluttered, the book's called Decluttering the Mind, if your house is really cluttered, then your mind is really cluttered too. And then we have to do this invisible homework. Well, you see, on the inside, people lose vision. They have forgotten who they really are. And so they become versions of themselves, largely built on their experience and the feedback of other people. If we've been surrounded by people who aren't very supportive, then we will grow up with self-identities that don't think we're worth very much. So somebody like me will come along and teach you how to raise self-esteem, and there is only one way to raise it, and that's actually, just thinking about it, that is also in the book when I talk about going into the bathroom. I teach you that self-esteem is about investment. Now, the point of making this video is to tell you who you are. So it's easy to find who you really are, because what you do is remove all the layers of who you are not. So I would take you right back to your central core, because here's a classic thing that people do who don't know themselves and that have low self-esteem. They reference themselves, their worth and who they are, according to the external world rather than their internal world. And that's too risky. I would never do that. And so your real power comes from your internal world. Now, there's these expressions, go within, and that you have everything you need already, and if you go into therapy, that's what they're going to tell you. And that can be a bit annoying when you're really stressed out. But let me tell you a bit more what's going on in your subconscious mind. Because what I'm really looking at is the way you speak to yourself. Do you rubbish yourself? Do you speak to, when somebody says about anything you've achieved, do you rubbish it all the time? because what you're doing is decaying your true worth away. And that's because you want to fit in with the tribe. Personally, I try not to fit in with any tribes because I find that tribal mantras, and that's a whole nother video, tribal mantras are designed to keep people low and locked in. And I come along and I'm trying to teach you to, find your sense of worth, because I think that everybody's got something to contribute to life. And it's a shame when somebody doesn't feel that they have got a voice, that they then don't share with the world some really astounding creativities and inventions. So who are you? Well, you're really who you say you are in your words. So what you need to be aware of is the way you're speaking about yourself to other people is your mind's recording that. So that is how you're speaking about yourself to yourself, and you're just reinforcing the program. And that's where one of the problems comes from, the way you're speaking about yourself. Also, I want to draw your attention to the way you speak to yourself when you're on your own. Do you congratulate yourself when you've achieved something? Well, I bet you don't. I do. So every time I've taught a seminar, especially if it's a seminar where there's maybe hundreds of people in there, that's quite a lot of stress on me to perform, to get the things right, to get the point across. So when I get in my car after a seminar, I always say, well done, Carole. And so I'm really nice in the way I talk to myself and about myself. So if I was having to give you some homework, I would say from this day forward, you're never to speak about yourself poorly ever again. Now, when it comes to manifesting a successful life, this becomes even more important because the subconscious programming is what is determining the outcomes that you have in your life. And so in the land of affirmations, the way you are stating your affirmations, hopefully you're stating them in the now, and as if you have them already. But what you're also doing is reaffirming the programming. Now, I could go in to talk to you about the laws of magnetics. It's no secret. It's always been known to people that study at these more hermetic levels of research. But it's really important, not only for self-esteem and to find out who you are, but to actually go back to the center of yourself and start to pick up from where you really were, in my view, born perfectly. And where any programming went wrong is where you need to go back and correct the database. And so there's twofold reason. One is because you'll start to feel better in yourself and more empowered. But also you'll notice that if you get this right, you'll start to manifest the things you want in your external world. Because if the external world is a mirror of our internal world, then it's smart thinking, isn't it, really, to organise, to pay conscious attention to our subconscious mind. If you pay conscious attention to your subconscious mind, you'll actively look for the programs that aren't working and then correct them. In addition to that, you will start to program your mind, I am successful, I am surrounded by nice people that are supportive and that help me, I have a wonderful life, I am happy. When you program consciously your subconscious mind, you will start to live a completely different life. And this is the true essence of empowerment. It's not people telling you you're wonderful, you're smart, you're confident, which is all silly really. That's pop psychology and pop therapy. Me telling you that you are fantastic might give you a hit for about a second, but after you finish watching this video, you're going to forget. What I would like to teach you how to do is for you to get used to the idea of telling yourself you're fantastic. Why not? Why stay as low as the tribe? And so, well, I know why. It's because you think you're going to get attacked if you raise yourself above the tribe. But the truth is the tribe aren't happy anyway, and nor are you. And so if you've been living your life a lesser version of yourself, or maybe you've been in a long-term relationship, and so they might have left you, and so you're in despair and you think, I don't know who I am anymore. And then what you'll do if you don't do any of the work that I'm talking about in this video you're only going to attract in another version of the same mate, and then another 4 years of your life will be wasted. You see, real power, that's an interesting word. I'm only using it kind of gently today. So at the extreme end, that's not a great word. That can be ego hijacked. But at a very small way, your real center of power is in your subconscious mind, and your conscious mind is just kind of it's navigating you through life, and it's interpreting the incoming information against the stored experiences that you've had. So if you go back into your subconscious mind and ask yourself these questions: what do you really want out of life? Who were you before you started listening to other people's probable quite poor impressions of you? You see, if you relaxed, if you just dropped all the defense mechanisms, if you just showed me at a really ground level, just had a chat with me, and I asked, who are you really? You might start with, I don't know, but then we could explore, and very quickly you'd say, well, actually, I quite like doing this thing. I quite like making this particular thing. I have an interest in this area. Now, when it comes from the inside out, that's when I find out who you truly are. And that's when you'll find out who you truly are. So self-development or personal development is really about not looking to other people to make you happy, to make you feel worth anything, and to not tell you your self-identity, because the truth is that they will not get you right anyway, because they're just going to describe you according to their own level of awareness and experiences. They're going to misperceive who you really are, mostly because people don't pay attention. They're more into projection than observation. So if you really want to find out who you are, then remove all the layers of who you are not. Go back to your, what we call, authentic self, and from the inside, start to monitor not only how you speak about yourself, but how you speak to yourself. And please don't ever speak badly about yourself or to yourself. And if you accidentally do, because the programs are still running whilst you're starting to overwrite them, then you have to apologize to yourself. In fact, why don't we just start there? Apologize to yourself for forgetting who you were, for listening to who other people told you you were, for misrepresenting yourself. That's always really annoying when you do that. But mostly that you've had a life according to thinking that your sense of who you are, that your sense of happiness, that your sense of value has all come from the external world, and that is the big mistake that you've made so far. So if we just correct your perception, bring it back home, it's inside out, never outside in, never. It's always inside out. You go back to yourself, back to your central self, back to your subconscious programming, and that is where you correct the misperceptions that you've had about yourself, and as a result, you'll correct the misperceptions that other people have had about you too. Okay, I hope this helps. Take care of yourself. See you next time. If you want to subscribe, please do so. And if you want to develop this kind of thing further, I've popped an online course in the study. I'll put the link below this video rather than tell you. Take care of yourselves. See you next time. Bye for now.